Today, we've got Secretary of the Air Force, Dr. Heather Wilson, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Dave Goldfein, and Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Master Sergeant Kayleigh Wright. So when we get to questions in a few minutes, do me a favor, just give your name and your media organization, and we should have time for just a few after some opening comments. Madam Secretary.
Well, good afternoon, and I apologize for being late. I know that you all have been waiting, but the Chief and I and Chief Wright were over talking with the 93 airmen who rode out the storm here, and we wanted to spend some time with them, so I appreciate your patience. The Chief and I and some senior leadership from the Air Staff in Washington came down today for a couple of reasons. One is, of course, to support those who were charged here with reconstituting the base. I wanted to thank the base leadership and really commend them for what they've been doing here since the storm hit. We're also here to make sure that the expertise and the resources and the help is flowed in here as they need it from the United States Air Force and from the country as a whole, so that we can begin to recover this base. Of course, our first priority now is our airmen and their families. I know there are a lot of airmen who want to get back into base housing and to see if they can secure their things and so forth. And as soon as it is safe to do so, the base will be allowing that to happen. But right now it is still not yet safe to do so. And one of the things that's a real blessing on this is that we have not had a single injury on this base in a terrible storm, and we don't want the first injury to be in the recovery. So we need to make sure that people can safely come back, and the base leadership will put out that word as soon as they have that. It's going to take time to recover. Anybody who can see this base, even from where we're standing, can see the substantial damage that was done by this terrible storm. But I have to tell you, my impression is that morale is very high among the airmen who are here. They are determined to recover. They have the support of their sister wings at Hurlburt and Eglin and around the United States Air Force. And I was so impressed just circling up with the 93 airmen who were here and rode out the storm that Chief Wright said to him, "Well, is there anything you need? Is there anything we can get to you that you'd really like to have?" And here are airmen who have been here riding out a storm, who probably many of them haven't had a hot shower since before the storm hit, and not a single one of them could think of anything they needed. That's America's Air Force, and I'm very proud to be serving alongside of them. Chief?
Thanks, Madam Secretary. You know, several years ago as a younger officer, I went through Hurricane Hugo at Shaw Air Force Base. A lot of parallels, a lot of similarities from what I saw today. But we ought not to underestimate not only the importance, but the discipline of the execution of the evacuation that went on here. You know, the commander here and his team had 48 hours really to go from a tropical storm to a Category 4 hurricane. And in that time frame, he had to marshal all of his forces, get his leadership in place, and get 11,000 people out that space while he was also generating aircraft and getting aircraft airborne. All of that in a period of 48 hours. And so when you think about that task and ask yourself, how was he able to do it? Because he had prepared this wing for it. They had gone through several exercises, so when he gave the order, they knew how to execute. And their execution was excellent, and you can see that based on the fact that, with the devastation you see around you, zero injuries, zero loss of life on this base. And so I give a lot of credit to the leadership team here, Colonel Laidlaw and his team, in terms of how they handled this. And so I want to reinforce the point that our ability as a Air Force to defend the nation and to do our job has not been impacted by this storm. The F-22s that we moved out have returned to Langley Air Force Base, or have gone to Langley Air Force Base, where we have maintenance there for them. And so our ability to do the nation's business has not been significantly affected by this storm. And as Secretary Wilson said, now we're focused on the airmen, their families, and making sure that we get operations back up and running. And with that, let me turn it over to our Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Chief Wright.
Thank you, sir. Even though I see, as I look across the base as we walked around, I see some significant damage, obviously, from the storm. I'm actually very encouraged. I'm encouraged by the fantastic leadership team and Colonel Laidlaw and Chief Williams. I'm encouraged by all of the support that this team has received, Team Tyndall has received from Air Combat Command and from Air Force Special Operations Command and a couple of bases nearby. But I'm mostly encouraged by all of the young airmen that I saw today that rode the storm out, that are getting busy, getting after, helping recover the base and making sure that the base is safe for everyone. So I feel pretty good about the future of Tyndall, and I know it'll be a long, hard road, and but we have a lot of resilient airmen that are already, you know, putting their head down and getting after making it a safe place. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the folks who've been supporting Team Tyndall, and look forward to your questions.
Okay, questions?
There's been some speculation that Tyndall might be a total loss. Being here on the ground, what's your thoughts on seeing the damage?
Well, there's a lot of damage, a lot of roof damage, and those kind of things. I think we've got to take some time. We've got all the roads pretty much cleared. There's still no power and water, and we're bringing bear bases in to be able to bring in civil engineers to take a look at facilities and so forth. Well, one of the things the chief was talking about from his experience is you know, at first it's an initial shock to people. And then by 2 weeks from now, they're going to start to see, hey, this is coming back. We're going to lay in place the things over the next couple of weeks so that by 2 weeks from now, things are really going to be starting to come back. And dumpsters will be full of siding, and trees will be cut up for firewood, and people will just be bringing the base back to life. So when people get over that initial shock and we get the engineers in here, I think a couple of weeks from now, people will really start to see the future and not just focus on the present.
I'm Peggy with News 13, Peggy Sister with News 13. When can we expect operations to pick back up?
Well, we've got civil engineering operations here now, and people teams in. We've got command and control back up now, and we've got security in here from Moody Air Force Base. So there's a lot of things already underway, and as the wing commander asks for additional support from outside for extra maintainers and civil engineers and other things, he'll get what he needs to get things going again.
Will families, this is Lydia Malvianas with KLD, Alexander, Louisiana. Will families be relocated to other bases? What happens now until they can return?
The good news is we've been through this before, Hurricane Hugo, Hurricane Andrew, and so we have personnel processes in place, and the way to do this is through a very personal touch with each of these airmen, to make sure that there will be those that will come back to Tyndall, there will be those that will PCS, that will have all of the above. And what we need to do is to make sure that more than anything, we're communicating with airmen and their families. You all are helping us do this with this press conference. And so the wing commander, Lieutenant General Williams, 1st Air Force Commander, have got a lot of very proactive outreach going on right now to make sure that not only through the command chain, but also through social media, that we're talking to airmen so we can help them through this process. But there will be a little bit of all of the above going forward.
Besides the F-22s, what else operationally has been affected at Tyndall?
Well, all of the missions here obviously are stood down for now, and now what we're bringing back in are the things to reconstitute the base. So for example, Red Horse, which is our combat civil engineers, the Special Operations Wing out of Hurlburt came in and opened the airfield, and it was some of them were telling me that after the storm, when they cleared off that runway and they came in with those CV-22s with the motorbikes on the back of them to open up the airfield, which is what they do all around the world, is open up airfields, they were a sight for sore eyes. And there was evidence of the determination of the United States Air Force that we go where we're called to go and we set up operations. So we will begin that process of clearing things out and getting back to work.
I know that this installation is obviously very proud of becoming the home of the Q9 Reaper Wing. What happens to the future of that?
Say it again.
Q9 Reaper Wing, the new drone.
The MQ-9.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I would just ask you to remember that we're just a few days into this, and we're right now we're really focused on the recovery operations. Now that we've confirmed that we've had no injuries, no loss of life, there's also a community outreach piece of this that we're focused on, because our airmen live in the communities that surround the area, like Mexico Beach and other places that got hit really hard. So we've made no decisions at this point on anything operationally we're really laser focused on getting this command team what they need to be able to recover. And like Secretary Wilson said, when you go through this, it's about a 2-week period. For the first 2 weeks, it seems overwhelming, because look around you and you figure, how can we ever recover from this? And all of a sudden, about 2 to 3 week point, you hit this tipping point. And all of a sudden you look around and you realize that actually some things are coming up and operating, and the base is coming back. And so our job for the Secretary, the Chief, and I is to make sure that this command team has what they need to be able to get to that point. And so we've made no decisions on any particular operational mission.
We can take 2 more questions.
News 13's Kate Melissa-Strogan. You guys really fuel the economy here in this area, seeing the devastation on both Panama City and Mexico Beach. What about jobs in this area?
Well, certainly our hearts go out to our neighbors here on the right and left side of this base. And I saw on the wing commander's phone this picture of the eye of the storm, a kind of screen capture. It went right over Tyndall, and you could see those 2 communities on either side of us. Those who are civilians here who work on the base are on administrative leave for now, so they're still getting their pay and benefits, and we will work through the issues of the people issues, person by person, airman by airman. And when we say airman, we mean active guard, reserve, and civilian. We're all part of one team. And right now, everybody needs to focus on their families. If you're recalled by the wing commander, try to get yourself into the base to help recover. But otherwise, civilians are on administrative leave with pay and benefits.
No, it's still early. Is there a ballpark figure of a dollar amount of the damages?
No, there's not.
What about the aircraft that were left behind for maintenance and repairs? Were any of those damaged?
So we've been able to get in and do just an initial visual inspection of the aircraft. But I'm hesitant to tell you, what the overall assessment is, only because, until you can actually get power on the aircraft and look at the systems and the subsystems and the components. I mean, these are very sophisticated aircraft that have a lot of interfaces, and so we have a sense of how they look physically, but we don't know until we get into them and really power them up. We'll have a good sense of what kind of damage was done. And so as soon as we have that, we'll make sure that you have it available to you.
And one last question. I've been told that airmen are not allowed to come within 50 miles.
The airmen are not allowed back on the base and into housing yet because it's not safe. And safety is the primary responsibility right now, is to make sure that in recovering from this, we don't have people hurt, which is, so far, we haven't had anyone hurt in this terrible natural disaster. And the same thing goes for, the chief mentioned about taking a look at aircraft. We've got hangars that have damage. We don't want to go in prematurely and take a look at an aircraft or try to power it up and cause a problem because we really didn't safe the area first. This is an Air Force that does things right, and we want to make sure that we recover in a right way that protects the safety and security of our airmen and of the equipment for which we're responsible.
Okay, thanks everybody. Really appreciate your patience today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.